Up. All men tend to be angry and irritated every Monday. Why? It's the start of the week. But this is my compensation. While it's the start of the week, but it's only a reminder that there are only a few days till the weekend gets here. So break every routine of making sure that your Mondays are slow and get up, because it's going to be an awesome week. My name is Brian Mlondo. Welcome to the show. Alongside Simon Kasiate, Joel Senyonyi, Isma Daka Bachigongo, and finally, Mrs. Muhereza is back in the building. We'll be meeting her in a couple of minutes. As usual, let's take a look at the question of the day. Good morning. There you go. Please use our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course our handle is at Morning at NTV. Tag me at MB Gold 2. You can tag Kasiate, at Joel Senyonyi, and of course at NTV Uganda. Our website is up, ntv.co.ug. Go there and watch live. Click watch live. And you, of course, get more information about the other shows, what we are preparing for you, what you have missed. Our YouTube channel is NTV Uganda. Subscribe, and you can watch those videos. But also, the new awesome app, NTV Mobi, where you can watch us wherever you are, in your sitting room, in your taxi, in the toilet, in the restaurant, in the salon, wherever you are. Catch NTV Mobi. Install it on your phone, and I'm telling you, you'll join the awesomeness as we celebrate 8 years here at NTV. Also giving you 100 motorbikes, okay? Every day at 6 o'clock, Robin Kisti will be here to give out those phenomenal prizes and a bike. The code right here in the left-hand corner of your screen. Send it to quadruple 6. That's quadruple 6. And good luck to all of you. Now, Mrs. Muhereza is back from the moon. Good morning, Mabel. And so far, you've been married, what, for 3.5 weeks? How does it feel like?
Thank you very much, Brian. It's actually 3 weeks and 1 day. I have been
married for a very long time. Other people separated at the honeymoon.
Yeah, well, we didn't kill each other. We haven't killed each other yet, but it's but it's all good. I'm glad to be back. Thank you for being part of my wedding.
You're looking really good. Mr. Muhereza is obviously doing yeah.
What? Say it. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure we shall continue this conversation later, Brian, but it is good to be back on the best breakfast show in town. We shall continue by taking a look at the news making headlines here from the studio. A Ugandan man who was diagnosed with the Marburg virus has died of the deadly disease in Kampala. The 30-year-old medic passed on at Mengo Hospital where he was working. Authorities at the Ministry of Health say they have isolated 79 people who are believed to have come into contact with him. Florence Nalimba with that report.
A 30-year-old health worker who's been battling the deadly Marburg virus was last week pronounced dead by doctors at Kampala's Mengo Hospital.
Preliminary reports also show that his brother, one of the contacts so far listed, has developed signs. He has subsequently been quarantined and isolated for further monitoring.
His brother, however, is not the only person who got into contact with the deceased.
So we have contacts, and we have 79 contacts. We have 1 suspect. 38
health workers from Mengo Hospital. We also have 22 health workers from PG Health Center 4. And then we also have 20 people who came in close contact with the body once the body was taken to Kasese district.
Although the ministry says there's no cause for alarm, the disease is known to be deadly. Some of the symptoms that come on abruptly include high fever, severe headache and severe malaise, severe watery diarrhea, abdominal pain and cramping, nausea and vomiting can be seen on the 3rd day. Patients of this virus have expressionless faces and many develop severe hemorrhagic manifestations between 5 and 7 days. Fatal cases usually have some form of bleeding, often from multiple sites. Death for many occurs after 8 to 9 days of onset of symptoms.
The case fatality rates vary from 24 to 88%, indicating that if you have like 100 people who contract this disease, maybe 24 to 88 of them will die.
Science say fruit bats of the Pteropodidae family are the natural hosts of the virus. Some people in Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda are known to eat them, and it's here that epidemics have been witnessed. Monkeys are also suspected to harbor the virus. The first Marburg cases were reported in Germany in 1967. They were from African green monkeys taken by scientists from Uganda.
There is no specific treatment or vaccine for Marburg, but the Ministry of Health is saying that what can save most of the populace is having awareness about the symptoms of this disease, as well as having the protective measures.
To report any suspected patient to a nearby health unit, avoid any direct contact with body fluids of a person presenting with bleeding tendencies.
The Health Ministry has already put in place a team of epidemiologists and surveillance officers dispatched to Mengo Hospital, Mpigi and Kasese districts. Suspected cases will be taken to Ntv isolation facility, and Mulago Hospital will soon open its facility. Other measures too have been taken with the help of Médecins Sans Frontières and WHO. Marburg was first reported in the country in the early 70s in eastern Uganda. Since then there have been other outbreaks in 2007, 2008, and the last which killed 9 people in 2012. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
Emotions ran high in Busoga region when a minister and lawmaker were heckled at a function in Kaliro district by crowds who were paying allegiance to Prince Edward Columbus Wambuzi. Legions of his supporters say Wambuzi is the legitimate Chabazinga barely a month after Nadiope Gabula was crowned as the king.
Business in Kaliro district came to a standstill yesterday as droves of Prince Edward Columbus Wambuzi's loyalists paid allegiance to him. This comes barely a month after Wilberforce Gabula Nadiope was crowned Chabazinga last month. However, the legions of Wambuzi's supporters say he is a legitimate head of the Basoga.
The one who was coronated on 14th of September is a political Chabazinga.
Elated crowds thronged the Wambuzi's palace while singing slogans. The State Minister for Environment Flavia Munaba and Bulamoji County MP Kenneth Rubogo were attacked at the function. The crowd accused them of being part of the conspiracy that denied Wambuzi the seat. The occasion was planned to announce a 2-year development plan for the Balamoji clan. At the occasion, some supporters claimed they were possessed by spirits.
A multitude of people converged in Kampala's city center to mark this year's carnival. The event, organized by Kampala Capital City Authority, is being held under the theme For the Love of Kampala. The festival is aimed at preserving tradition and entertaining Ugandans as well as foreigners. Sheila Nduhuchire with that report.
Scores of people started streaming into Kampala's central business district as early as 7 a.m. for the 3rd annual Kampala City Carnival. The KCC Executive Director Jennifer Mosisi made a grand entry 2 hours later to cheers from revelers. Part of her procession had huge comical representations of the objectives that City Hall authorities have set out to achieve. Security was tight, with the deployment of both military and plain-clothed policemen. Business firms and exhibitors had their wares displayed all over the city to attract the public. On a normal day, Ginger Road teems with people and traffic. But today, all roads leading to the city were sealed off to allow free movement. The area had plenty of food, drinks and entertainment. The event that will end late at night is estimated to have cost KCCA and private sector firms over 800 million Ugandan shillings.
Despite the leadership challenges that have gone on at City Hall, many people believe that this is an opportunity to celebrate and enjoy the achievements that KCCA has been able to achieve in the course of their leadership. Shiland Uchire, NTV, Kampala.
And that actually happened last night, yesterday. We shall now cross over to the gentlemen, Brian, Simon, and I believe Joel, who are standing by for today's press review. Brian, you're still smiling a lot. Were you at the city center? Did you attend the carnival yesterday?
Yes, I did. I was actually at Sheraton Hotel most of the time, because that's where the Christian tent was. But before I even go into the details of the carnival, someone is here asking, Joel is asking, what name are you using now? Is it Mabel K. Muhereza or Mabel K. Birunji Muhereza?
You know, names are...
Or Mabel Muhereza.
You know, names are actually very political. My husband's name is Mwete Jerize.
Yes, I can't hear.
So it's, we shall sort out the name issue, I think, at some point.
She needs to sign an affidavit like said
I tell you.
Well, remember this morning, the Observer, of course, talks about the carnival, and the Daily Monitor talks about the carnival. But both newspapers have Mbabazi as their headline story. We'll be looking at that, the details coming up in the press review. Well, it's the 6th day of October and 2014. We're here at the International Conference Center at the Serena Hotel. Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. That bow tie looks nice.
Like the rest of them.
Do you know how to knot a bow tie?
Without a doubt. You want me to do that as a demonstration for you tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Well, let's restrict
Actually,
ourselves
they come.
to what
I thought they come already knotted.
Some do, others don't.
Others
depends, yeah. Okay. And I have a variety of those that come knotted, then there are those that come unknotted. This came knotted,
okay.
But I have others that you knot by yourself. And I've written several times in the Observer and that metrosexual column on how to knot a tie, and that includes and is not limited to the bow tie.
Yeah. So after learning how to knot a tie, I have taken. Yes, I have taken all, like I've washed all my ties.
Oh, they were all dirty because they had to be knotted by the vendor from whom you bought?
Yes,
and
so now, they are all clean and I feel clean. Yeah, I washed all of them. They are not supposed to be washed.
Have you ever considered dry cleaning them?
What's your problem?
You'll appreciate the result better because anyway, it depends on the material in which your ties are made. But if, for example, the ties I wear after this show, I would never put them in water and expect to wear them again because the material would shrink. Pure silk normally is not, washed with.
Is this nitrile?
It's not nitrile. The word is nylon.
Gentlemen, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know a lady called Caroline Amali Okao?
No.
She's the minister of the Republic of Uganda.
Okay.
I was looking at the cabinet list the other day and I was baffled. I knew everybody else on that list, but this lady. She's the Minister of State for Microfinance. She's also a woman MP for Amolata District.
Well, given that
I hope you, the viewer out there, knew this person. I was shocked. I said, what is this now? But I hope the reason for her being very subtle and unknown is because she's busy out working.
Or perhaps,
I hope.
Or perhaps
I
not
hope.
working in our rims, because I mean, again, I have not ever been subjected to the desire for microfinancing, and so I would possibly not know.
Wouldn't know.
You have been in the media for 1,001 years. It's one of those things, as in, you know, it would be a shocker.
Well, on
I
this,
was shocked that...
on this one, I plead as guilty as charged. I'm extremely ignorant of
Shall sentence you tomorrow.
Chat.
Right.
Well, at least I still know the third stanza of the national anthem when you look at it from number 2.
Yeah, someone attacked me on social media for saying teachers should learn the national anthem.
Attacked you for one. They should learn it. I think they're supposed to teach
they
it.
were like,
How are they going
it's
to teach
not
it
their
anyway?
priority to learn the national anthem. But before we go on, I'll deal with that one later. Yes, today's word, exasperate.
To exasperate is to anger, to annoy. If I exasperate you, I anger you, I annoy you. Yeah, pretty much along those lines.
You may wish to share with us the synonyms of that then.
Yeah, there is, well, a number of others. To exasperate is, yeah.
Because
yeah,
odium.
That to
what?
To vex.
Even to disconcert is related to that, and a number of others.
Okay, so that's today's word, to exasperate is
But
to
it actually
annoy.
can also mean something else. The other word for exasperate can be to exacerbate something, to increase it.
To make it worse.
To make it worse.
Normally, it's not to make it better. It's
Awesome.
negative
What's
connotation.
in the Daily Monitor this morning?
Where we are being exasperated by the continuous stories on former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi, and today in the Daily Monitor, they're looking at his reign as Prime Minister, breaking it down. Is it 3 years that he was Prime Minister? Bring it down to us brick by brick on his charisma, his charm, his exaggerated sense of self-worth, or some people thought, his alleged scandals and the like, and all this is in the Daily Monitor this morning. Dedicated almost 3 pages to this, including, not limited to, a pictorial. One interesting picture is of one of his former deputies seated seated in the short, as the former Prime Minister made the point on the floor of Parliament. And let's not forget that this is the same General Moses Ali who told his constituents somewhere in Ajumani that finally the snake has been smoked out of the room, referring to his former boss.
And of course, a pictorial of how it went down. You were at the festival yesterday, I was not.
I must give it to KCCA. I think someone even said that for the first time the streets were really maybe because red top as we know them were manning the security, but it was
the streets were clear.
Yeah,
because traffic was blocked all over.
No,
so what do you mean?
There were. It was very organized. Last year there was a lot of chaos.
So if you came from your home with a car, where would you park, for example?
I actually parked at the Sheraton.
Okay. So somehow you made it through Ginger Road and went up.
Yes,
to the Sheraton.
I did.
You know, when these huge functions do take place, some of us, having been inconvenienced several times. I mean, previously you'd come boistering around with a press tag and moving around and claiming to be, oh, I am so and so covering in for this kind of media house.
Yes.
But as you increasingly become older and take on more responsibilities and want to enjoy some of these festivities as an individual private person with your family, I find them extremely
chaotic.
What was the word?
Excruciate,
no,
exasperate.
Yes, exactly. Because then you don't know who's going to shove you, who's going to do what. So I would prefer to watch some of the things on our favorite program, Login, and all the other places. I mean, yesterday I decided to take the opposite side of town and just take a route to Namugongo Sonde, where one or two holdings, and somehow around the Protestant shrine, the place is blocked off. Why? Because the president is there on a fundraising drive. And I said to myself, has it become this worse? I think President Museveni is visiting Serena Conference Center. They must block all the roads around the Serena Conference Center.
Nowadays he's visiting many places.
Yeah, and so I'm asking myself, so we are spending a lot more infrastructure on blocking roads. And when, okay, well, there's a threat to terrorism, but clearly, why do we pay these SFG people to block roads? They should be able to face the bull head on.
Well, I think it happens in every country. If the president is in a vicinity, security must...
But it shouldn't be that way. It talks of paranoia, but also incompetence,
sadly, I've not lived in the USA, which many of you like to drop parallels to. I stayed for some time in Denmark, and I remember not once, not twice, they meet the Prime Minister of Denmark, then on a bicycle riding past the train station.
Some actually on the train as
yeah,
well.
that's them. That's them. If you eat mukene at your home, that mean I should eat mukene. Okay.
For starters,
so you can't compare.
I hate mukene like a problem.
That's what I'm saying. If the Prime Minister the other day, there was a picture of the Prime Minister of Switzerland waiting for a train. if that happens there, it doesn't mean it should happen.
Well, we're not
this way.
necessarily saying let them jump on borders where
Fine.
some do. But you see,
the demo on the
paranoia
day
really
you'll
that
be here forming on the mouth that police has been beating up protesters here, that there is uncivility behavior coming in from government. I will remind you and tell you that, yes, if that kind of behavior doesn't take place in the UK, it doesn't mean that shouldn't take place here.
No,
I mean, people here should be beaten and bludgeoned.
My standard is obviously not the UK or the US.
Okay,
but
fine,
I think
Madagascar.
we tend to
you see in Madagascar, which the Prime Minister, let's talk about Prime Ministership here. Ruhakana Rugunda over the weekend did pay a visit to his alma mater, that is in Busoga College, Mwiri, and while there, he made a very fundamental statement that touches the core of my fundamental interests, which is, and I quote from the Daily Monitor, dams will fix jobs. This, he speaks in future tense. I can agree with the Prime Minister that it has already happened, especially with regard to myself.
But in the meantime, because dams will only create a few jobs for the Kasiates and a few others, how about the 83%
but
of
you see, it is the Kasiates that act as what we call pull effect. Behind this man you're seeing here...
How many have you employed?
That's what 83%. That's what I was coming to, that behind this man you see here, and I want to believe that's the same story with each one of you, there is a group of people feeding off me. I act as a pull effect. I pay school fees, I pay amenities for people, and I actually directly employ people. Just like I was telling you when I was going somewhere where I have 1 or 2 holdings, I don't do the work there myself. I employ people and they earn off that. So clearly there is what we call a ripple effect. At the end of the day, yes, it is the collective effort of those small little places where few people get employed that will employ every one of us. If dams are going to employ 2,000, it is an, let's use your words, it is an infinite quest to perfection. Infinite means it is never ending. You will always continue to struggle, just like it is in those countries that are like heaven.
Perfection.
Yes, it is an infinite quest to perfection.
Ours
that
is
one
a quest for many other things.
No. In this case, when it comes to job creation, I want to believe the government is an infinite quest for.
No, this government of ours is very. They are hedonistic. You know, they're very selfish people. They are up to self-aggrandizement. They don't care about the local man. Absolutely,
that's
they
not
don't.
true, because President Museveni here in the Daily Monitor has said only God can disrupt peace.
And you see,
the headline story is that only
God can disrupt Uganda.
Can disrupt Uganda.
Museveni. And look, I am praying every day. By the way, I pray for this country on a daily basis. I'm looking forward to God disrupting Uganda, because you see, I want to see some changes, disrupting some of these lousy leaders of ours. Knock them out. You know, want to see the souls.
Joe,
as
why
you
don't
like.
you stand for councillor or MP or
But you see,
something?
it's not too important that I stand. We've got, the census will tell us how many people we are in Uganda. Imagine about 40 million Ugandans in this country. Not all those are supposed to stand for elective office, you know. Some of them will probably be on a show like this one and hopefully they're adding value. Others, wherever it is that God has placed them, you add value there. But some of our leaders, I want them out as soon as yesterday. So, oh Jesus, please disrupt this country.
Well,
give us better leaders. Disrupt them.
Those prayers are not good. But in the Observer this morning, Babazi considers resigning.
Are you sure about that? By the today is when he hands over office as Prime Minister?
Yes, he considers resigning as Secretary General. Does that make sense?
I've not read that story, but I imagine when you read it, you realize the speculation. I don't think they have quoted him anywhere.
Well, he's facing a lot of pressure. Even, you know, the other day, Bahati saying, you know, Babazi should realize that the NRM is bigger than him, and the best thing, Mukura saying that the only way Mbabazi should avoid any more embarrassment is to resign.
Why didn't Mukula
He's not
resign
going to have
when
as
he
much
was,
clout as
nursing
Secretary
ambitions?
General.
He should have resigned as well.
Do those people actually know Babazi? Babazi has faced a lot more pressure in the past. There was a time every single scandal had him as the postcard child. But Mbabazi kept his head so calm and cool above the murky waters. The kind of pressure that if only a tenth of it was faced by Mukula, he would be crying out. Utukwi like all the others would. If the same pressure was faced with Bahati, possibly Bahati would have taken a nosedive into oblivion. But this man, Honorable Mbabazi, has showed them that in spite of the storm, he keeps his head high. I do not know how he calculates things. I mean, this is one person I fail to understand, because
previously he had a good father. He's on his own now.
Well, I can tell you that Mbabazi, with or without a godfather, I think he has, over time, realized that his best weapon is staying calm in the midst of the storm. This is one guy you do not just use your gazam to do what everyone has accused him of to do. And
they're never in their homes. Could it explain why Luzira is bedeviled with all these fellows, why crime is on the rise? Because you see, mothers do a good job, and my mother did a good job, but you see, there are things that can only be done by a father.
Doesn't even get better for me. It's now over 10 years since my mother passed on, so 21 years without a father, 10 years without a mother.
But that said, I've met people who blame, you know, their faults on the fact that they either lost their parents early and so on. Good, you're not one of those. There's a guy I met, he's 50 years old. He says for him he's an orphan. I said, but boss.
Well, a Ugandan doctor has caught the Ebola virus. Dr. Michael Mawanda, who went to help in Sierra Leone. Thankfully, he was flown to the Frankfurt University Hospital's isolation ward, and we wait to see how that is. But the important question here is that experts are worried that this may be used as a weapon of bioterrorism.
Perhaps it already is. I did watch over the weekend excerpts from one of our favorite talk shows here, Tuwaye, as one of the as the guest there, indeed did accuse Western powers of biological warfare on this world. And yes, and Ebola is certainly high on his allegation things. I mean, you know, like they say, even a dead clock is right twice a day. So you don't want to rubbish.
No, not necessarily rubbishing him, but
possibly
he's one of those guys you don't want to give too much credence to. But there you have it. Quote of the day in the Daily Monitor. This is by President Museveni on Africans. So you Africans are still backward, and the Europeans are lenient. They can't tell you that. But for me, I have told you. You can also judge me. That's the truth. That's what we keep saying. You're very backward.
You can also judge yourself. Not judging me.
You can also judge yourself, and him too. He's an African.
Members of Parliament should reject tax on paraffin. This is the editorial of the Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor does believe that this tax on paraffin is going to exacerbate the condition of the poorer strata of society in this country. Well, if you ask me what my view is, I strongly disagree with the Daily Monitor. We should be moving at making the use of paraffin prohibitive enough so that we can look for alternative sources of energy. If for nothing else, the health hazard that paraffin does cause in our lives. I can tell you the smoke from paraffin is more debilitating than smoking 25 cigarettes all at the same time through all orifices of the body.
But you see, for me, my point is...
In my weird scientific research.
There's a lot of disingenuity, because when you hear they are saying, you know, we want this tax in place because we're going to collect 68 billion Uganda shillings at the end of it all. So we need the money. What exactly are you putting this tax for? Is it because you need the money? Is it because you're actually trying to make it difficult for people to access it? I'm told 1.5 million people annually, that's according to the World Health Organization, die according to, you know, kerosene lamp-related fumes and stuff like that.
1.5 million?
Globally, not just in Uganda.
Oh.
Yeah, so I thought, so what exactly is their aim? I think they need to come out very clearly, because you see, and again some are saying, but you see, this tax is very small, so it's not going to hurt, you should not complain about it. But then if it is small, and yet you're saying you're trying to make it prohibitive for people to access it because of the health hazards, it does not add up. So if you're trying to make it prohibitive, make it 1,000 shillings. So let's not have disingenuity, I think.
Bujagali, tourism suffering at the hands of the dam. This is a feature story in the next magazine, a feature story that I want to strongly disagree with. Yes, tourism may be suffering because the dam is in place. But can you imagine the alternative if 25 megawatts were not on the grid now? This country in 2007 sank into the abyss of darkness simply because there was not enough water to pump electricity available. 2 dams that we had at that time. Luckily, we've got a 3rd dam, that's Bujagali, that added on 250 megawatts. The demand of electricity has gone so high. Will these tourists have made it here if there was not enough electricity to power computers at the different immigration points to stamp their passports?
Well, they still...
I mean, this whole one-sided debate on tourism. Let me tell you, the biggest tourism for me would be to move around Kampala and I can locate the first building that ever existed here. Buildings are being broken down in town that would tell the nature and character of this town from the time Kampala was created. You cannot locate a single old building. Just here, right in front of us, are 2 twin towers built by the Chinese, sitting on a building that was, you remember the former CID building. Right. That building had a story, that it was an incredible story of the history of Kampala. You go to Iganga, on the main street, those Mabati houses that tell the character and nature of that town as it grew up, as an Indian point of sale. There is enough land across Iganga, but they're breaking down these buildings to build these bathroom-like buildings with tiles all over the place, which fall off every so often. And you ask yourself, isn't that a source of tourism? Why do people think of tourism remaining archaic and rustic? That you must keep bushes in your house because, if you clear the bushes, tourists won't come because they've come here to see bushes. They've come here to see flowers.
But that's what you're talking about. You want these tenement structures.
And I am saying, if you want to cut it across, don't just blame one aspect. You have an across-the-board condemnation and say, okay, Uganda shall remain a country that is in Stone Age without electricity, without everything. So tourists can come and see monkeys living in a place where there is no electricity, cars do not move. That's the way.
Well,
it used to
Nairobi
be.
has done it very well. They have all these, buildings.
They are protected.
Yeah, they are protected. They are really beautiful. They maintain
The likes
them
of
very well.
Shimoni.
There is
Distraction
Kalagala
School.
Falls downstream. Yes, if Bujagali has come in and whatever. But there is also tourism. Do you know what that Bujagali place looks like? People should go beyond
There's
the
now
falls
a
that you-
bush.
No, go there and see the marvel that that dam is. Go and take a serious boat ride on the reservoir that was created by that dam.
Well,
Behind
some
there.
prefer the falls.
Well, then go, that's something, go downstream to Kalagala because there is 100 falls along the River Nile. You got Makshon Falls. There's plenty of them. It's not that all the falls got lost because one dam called Bujagali. Here where the Owen Falls dam is, there used to be falls called Owen Falls. 60 years down the road, I can tell you we've benefited much more than would have benefited from those falls.
Well, I guess the Uganda police now says they benefited a lot from Kosi Odomel.
I'll tell you, on Friday, I went to Kira Road police station. I was not a criminal. I had not gone to see a criminal. Out of curiosity, I went, you see behind where, the police officers do stay, those unipods. I'll tell you, my heart broke. That place is like a slum. So I know much of the time I come here and talk about how, police officers, many of them are very lousy chaps in uniform. Some of them are brigands. We need to deal with them, etc., etc. But today I want to be a voice for the police. I think we need to work on the welfare of the police. My heart really broke.
The slum is in what do you mean?
Behind
we
the
don't
police
understand.
station.
It was dirty and filthy, like Uganda should go and clean for the police. The houses were debilitated and broken, like we do not pay our taxes regularly for them to do that. Whose fault is it? So
I don't know whose fault
You're
it
trying
is.
to blame who for this?
I'm trying to blame, those that make the budget. And of course, I've seen...
Joel, I was born and bred in a government-owned house in Bugolobi Flats. If any one of you remembers Bugolobi Flats 30 years ago, how dirty, debilitated, how we used to pour rubbish from the windows, and you see Bugolobi Flats today, I can tell you much of the suffering you see from government-owned houses and the filth and the rot and the debilitation of the buildings is largely not because of the absence of a government, but it's the absence of people and their desire to keep their environment clean.
Actually, I'm not even talking so much about the
now there's a
dirtiness,
private
because
investor.
they were not as dirty per
people
se.
bought their own flats. They need to keep them clean. They have
We're
furnished
fine.
everything.
Let the police then buy their old unipods and say, now this one I buy it from my gratuity and I own it. And
Which
then you
one?
keep it clean. Perhaps
Which
I
they
do not
get
know.
after 1,001 years later. But see, I was looking at the
But
structures.
that was the same story with civil servants.
Some of them are
in the
actually
world.
like kiosks, wooden things. You can see these things leak when it rains. I was appalled. It's a very disturbing scene. I talk about cleanliness, of course, that we are not to do for them. But a good number of them, you could really see they try to keep them clean, yeah? But the structures are bent like this. Anytime they're falling on them, I thought, hey.
Well, as the French will say. On a good note, I also met my very good police officer, Achayo, on the street yesterday around Chireka. And, well, as usual, we exchanged pleasantries, and she was doing the job that she does very best, always helping out motorists and looking very concerned at the plight, as opposed to her colleague, Winza, who goes around showing his Winza. I want to believe that he's not one of those who was promoted.
You are called
But
I hope you are not one of those promoted. In
well,
the
he was
last
trying to do his job as he was stopping.
Yes, and I
you
noticed
didn't have a
that
permit.
Achayo
And,
did not have any peep to herself, and I am disheartened. I think we need to move a campaign to ensure that those who do a good job really get recognized.
No, but Buyiza was
While,
doing
of
his
course,
job. He may be promoted because he stopped you.
and you didn't have a permit.
On the
and
other
so,
hand, I can tell you that I have made my case beyond this set that he would be lucky to get a promotion.
Oh, no. It's
one of them
breaking
was
the
actually
law.
asking me, that when are you coming to do the show from Kira Road Police Station? Maybe we should one of these good days.
Well, the Minister of Education has started a campaign to end early marriages, to fight early marriages, and that's very, disheartening.
How are they planning to do that?
Well, to educate more girl children, take them to school, but also menstrual periods are making it hard them for one second. I will fight until all of us are destroyed. So I know the battle for the Palestinian state is still going on. What else is making headlines on the international scene?
Thank you very much. The area. Protesters in the city financial district have been allowing a few
million weeks and plus. This morning, the big story is not the fact that you are married. For some, it's a very heartbreaking story. I'm sure many of those who really admired you on the set. But for us, it's a very big and good story that indeed you return with an extra surname to your name. But let's look at Mulago Hospital, where possibly you'll be visiting in the next 9 months, and you should, especially to give life to the as to why you got to fetch firewood or collect water, certainly is to give life to others. And so Mulago Hospital, going through a phased rehabilitation, a phased renovation, making the maternity even a lot more interesting point for you, Mabel, to take in. So this morning, we'll be having a long and interesting discussion with the Public Relations Office of this hospital, Mr. Enoch Sasira, right after this. The 6th day of 2015, coming to you live from the Serena Conference Center. It's the big story edition of Morning at NTV. My name is Simon Kasiate. This morning we're looking at Mulago Hospital, the National Referral Hospital, where news coming in is that there is and already started a phased rehabilitation and renovation that will create some 2,000 units in a phased manner over the next 10 years. The first phase began in 2013 and is expected to be completed in 2015 with some 100 units for staff working in emergency areas. This morning, many of you do complain half and puff over the state of the National Referral Hospital. Government has put aside some resources in a phased manner to make this a resourceful and referral hospital worth its name. This morning we are looking at the interesting developments therein. Enoch, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
To Morning at NTV.
How are you, Simon?
Is this just on paper as a lip service from your side? Well, you'd be the last person I want to ask, because clearly you say it isn't. But be honest, face the Ugandans in the face this morning and tell them that indeed what they are reading this morning is true, that this referral hospital, national in character, will become a hospital every one of us will be proud to own and proud to, you know, go in for redemption.
It is very true. The contractor, a very popular construction company called Doroko, one of the biggest multinational construction companies, has already taken control and ownership of the site of Mulago Hospital. This is a very grand renovation, and the catchwords in this renovation are super specialization, decongesting Mulago, and creating a healing environment. And at an appropriate time, I will make a breakdown of all these terms.
Well, it's not the appropriate time is now. What do you mean by super specialization?
Super specialization.
Decongestion, that one we can understand.
Yes.
But a healing environment, what is that?
Okay. Super specialization. First and foremost, the hospital is going to be remodeled. And remodeling means expanding these wards, equipping them with all the necessary medical equipment. There is going to be an increase in the number of theaters. For instance, we are working with about 5 theaters in Lower Mulago. We are increasing them to 18. And this theater is going to have all that you can think of, medically speaking, that should be in the theater.
Enoch, our biggest challenge here is not the absence of equipment or the absence of infrastructure for the most part. I have been to countries where they will tell you, welcome to this country X, a country of 2 seasons, winter and construction. Or should I say rehabilitation? That when you have a wonderful road like Masaka-Mbarara, the moment that road is commissioned, then rehabilitation works begin on that road. In other words, you must be fixing every small leak and whatever. Mulago, 1950s built and commissioned. Does not mean that the equipment there became obsolete per se, but it was just, we have a culture of not taking care and repairing the infrastructure that we have with us. What has changed about Ugandans that you think this wonderful super specialization
I wanted
not go to West?
Simon, I wanted to first explain the key words, then I can answer some of those questions. But of course, you know, 1962, when the Lower Mulago was built, commissioned by the colonial government, I think we're about 8 million people. The population has since then been exploding. And so, of course, this, the number of patients going to Mulago is also growing. If you improve any service at Mulago, that is going to invite more patients. Secondly, referral system in the country has not been working at all. This is a national referral hospital. What it means is that by the time you go there, you should have been referred by a raw hospital. But what do we see?
Get a headache.
You get headache, stomach upset, you took a lot of alcohol the previous night, you refer yourself to Mulago. And these are the cases where... So
under Mulago has become a hangover clinic?
Yes, health center, no, not really. We are more or less a health center for. But what we are talking about now is that once we have put all this in place, you will not just find your way to Mulago. You must be referred. This kind of renovation is going hand in hand with the renovation at Kirudu in Makinde and the one in Kawempe. All this is a loan secured by government of Uganda from African Development Bank to improve health care services in the metropolitan Kampala.
Healing environment.
Healing environment. We are create what are we doing basically? Every bed will be curtained. What that means is that a patient has some level of privacy. And when they are recovering, we are constructing a lot of greenery. They are called recapitulation centers. To recapitulate means to recover. Recapitulation centers out. Enough greenery, fountains, so that you look at those wonderful pictures and you recover psychologically. But I wanted to explain super specialization.
You're creating amusement parks at Mulago Hospital.
Not amusement parks. Don't trivialize it. First of all, we are increasing the number of intensive care units. And intensive care beds are increasing from a patch 12 beds to 40. You're actually putting a structure on top of private outpatients. You don't go to Mulago, you would not know that.
What are you talking about? You and I have met in Mulago several times. And
as a visitor. You just you don't use the service.
I'm lucky not yet to be sick to go to Mulago, and that I think
I encourage you to fall sick and come.
That's a problem with guys like
so we are increasing the number of ICUs, intensive care unit, 40 beds, and very well equipped.
Well, let's look at the infrastructure and its ability to meet the growing demands. You say that by the time this hospital was put in place, 8 million Ugandans were in place. Now the population has exponentially grown. With this new remodeling and rehabilitation, are you factoring the fact that possibly will be 100 million in 2050 if the population trends continue as they are today? And with 100 million, with 40 intensive care units at the National Referral Hospital, isn't that still a drop in the ocean?
It's not a drop in the ocean. First and foremost, bear in mind that there's another project going on. We are constructing a women's hospital, 320-bed capacity maternal and neonatal hospital. Just that is aside also.
Maybe Kevin had better take note of that. When is this one going? Is it going to be ready in 9 months?
It's also a project of 24 months. They're about to start with a loan from Islamic Development Bank. So that will decongest the hospital, because that what means is that the whole of 5th floor will go away. So all the women and their issues, delivery, gyno emergency, post-delivery, whatever, they will all go to their new facility.
And look, obviously this sounds
very
good to the eyes and ears of those watching us, but also we do this with the backdrop of the fact that Mulago Hospital is not administered by a communion of saints. That just like the rest of our population here, you are bedeviled by the same malaise like corruption and things of that nature. To what extent, in your view, do you think this will play a very big role in curtailing this progress that you just ably and eloquently put forward before us?
Corruption, I cannot speculate really. I do not explore people's minds.
No, in other words, we are saying, can we believe you? Isn't this just going to be one of those, whitewashing announcements coming in from a well-eloquent public relations officer here on the ground? There's nothing.
The project management unit that is taking care of these projects has nothing to do with the administration at Mulago. This is a Ministry of Health thing.
Oh, fine. That sounds perhaps very good. Now, tell me.
This is a loan closely supervised by the government of Uganda.
And the loaner.
Yes. Closely supervised by the government of Uganda. There is already some public...
government of Uganda that fights corruption in a manner we both know how.
I don't want you to impute bad motives on me. Really. So I really think there will be value for money. And of course, all the important offices in this country are watching how that loan becomes useful.
Especially those who are in the not bad habit of failure to find those facilities here and having to fall sick from outside this country. Those should pay more particular attention.
Actually, but we are aiming at stopping medical tourism. We already have dispatched a team of clinical people. They are in India, and they are equipping themselves with the skills of kidney transplant.
So all this
in about 2 months' time, we will be doing kidney transplant at Mulago. We have expanded our renal unit, and when we talk about super specialization, we are saying that your lungs have a problem, we can remove them. not just treating in Tunica. You know in Tunica.
Yes,
we are talking about kidney transplant. We are
so
talking
remove
about
the lungs,
other organ transplants. Yes, that is what we are talking about.
Now, this renovation
yes,
is going on at the same time we need your services. To what extent should we expect being inconvenienced?
Oh yes, we have drawn a relocation program. It must be in the media today. It must be in our daily saturations, including Daily Monitor. I don't want to mention the other one.
It had better have been otherwise. That's
it is there, really. It is running tomorrow. It is running in one of them today, another one tomorrow. That is Daily Monitor tomorrow, then another one on Wednesday. That one I will not mention. So we have drawn plans of how we shall continue to serve Ugandans while we renovate this hospital. There is going to be a lot of inconvenience.
But you may wish to share with us some of the adjustments that we as the public need to be aware of.
Number one,
that possibly we do not get.
Number one, we are closing the main gate. We want
starting when?
Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow is 7th. Tomorrow is 7th. We'll close the main gate and we'll start using another gate. We call it mortuary gate. But if you are familiar with the Boise, then this church of Kakande, that gate that enters the hospital, that's where we shall be entering from. We are creating some other roads in and out of the hospital to allow the public access the hospital.
Talking about the mortuary, of course, many a times people
we are increasing the capacity of the mortuary.
You can't even wait for me to ask.
I cannot wait because you cannot wait.
Everyone of us will pass there.
In a week, we will be in position to handle 100 bodies, and all of them very well frozen,
embalmed and treated.
It goes without saying.
And look, the emergency unit at Mulago Hospital is more like a street of downtown Baghdad, especially on a Friday night.
I don't like your
Saturday
metaphor.
Night, and all that. I mean, we all know what happens inside there, that there are people coming in on police pickup trucks, private vehicles, stretchers, even others coming on the backs of people.
Yeah, that's what makes it a national referral.
Yes, and then the capacity of its handling of the people that come in from an emergency perspective, accident victims and the like.
Yes.
You may need to speak to the kind of capacity that you intend to put in place with this new rehabilitation plan.
First of all, we are expanding the emergency unit. Structural expansion, breaking a wall, adding another one. 2, we are putting a theater in each emergency ward. Emergency, what we popularly call casualty, is in 2 sections. There's the medical side, that all of a sudden you faint, then you are rushed to Mulago. That is a medical emergency. Then there are surgical emergencies. These are people who have been knocked by border, etc. There will be a theater, each of those. 2, we are expanding the reception there. 3, we are expanding the trauma unit. Trauma unit is that critically sick patients, once received, they are supposed to be resuscitated. So we are expanding that. There may be about 20 beds with monitors, suction machines, to mention a handful.
Speaking more like a medical doctor, even when he's far from that profession. But Enoch, you may wish.
No, but you now.
You are now Dr. Enoch. Yes. Well, Dr. Enoch, just like I'm engineer Kasete, you know that very well.
Okay. For you, have many titles actually. Yes.
There is putting in place all this infrastructure, but not changing the mindset of the people that work in there. That your human resources is not aware to the modern tenets of customer relations.
The other component.
Your doctors are continuing with their usual moonlighting in different places as opposed to attending to patients there. That your clinical officers still go inside there and expect to be tipped for them to act on a patient. How are you working on the mindset of the people that work inside there to ensure that when I walk into Mulago Hospital, I'm received by somebody with a smile as opposed to someone just says, "Wow!"
And on this one, I beg you to give me time when I answer.
Please.
First and foremost, you have asked what they call the right question. The right question
person.
Yes, the right question is that one whose answer is readily available. One of the components of this renovation is training. Already, both clinical and non-clinical staff are being taken in a course called Leadership and Governance in the context of health services or hospital management. Now, in that one, customer care is one of the modules in there. Of course, you and I know that we have a problem in this country. People are stuck to what they studied at university, and that's all. People have been telling me about attitude. You know, you cannot take someone to theater and change attitude. So we are doing a lot of training. I have already told you about a team that is in India. There is a lot of training going on of all these nurses, all these customer care assistants, record staff.
Midwives especially will shout at...
yes, we aim at changing that traditional mindset of backing at people. We want
treating them like you're
those
doing
people
them
to
a
receive
favor.
you are welcome to Mulago National Referral Hospital, and say it with a face that is warm. We are moving towards that direction. But you know, this is a process. It is not, you don't press a button and it happens. Human character is very complex. Yes.
And look, someone is inclined to believe you tremendously, but we may need also to put timelines to this. You say it's a phased approach over the next 10 years. 10 years may look like a very long time for you to put
It's
this
not
in
10
place.
years.
Do I get the figures right?
No, it's not 10 years. It's 24 months. Mathematically speaking, those are 2 years. A year has 12 months plus another 12 months.
Please, enough with the teaching. But I'm saying, is this 2 years also a reasonable time? Is it a realistic time for you to deliver on all these KPIs that you just shared with us this morning?
Of course, there is nothing cast in stone. We could do, it could maybe less
Even
than
shorter.
24 months.
That's
Maybe slightly.
being over optimistic, Enoch.
No, the
Or am I being too
construction company we have is an internationally a respected international construction company. So really, I do not have any doubts as to what they are going to do. But I think we will have our work on time.
Very well. So Enoch coming in and sharing with us what is going to happen to Mulago Hospital with regards to super specialization, decongesting the place and creating a healing environment. And all this coming into line in the next 24 months. We'd never have thanked you better for being a part of this wonderful program and sharing with us so eloquently these developments at Mulago. We'll continue, of course, watching you very closely and watching the developments at Mulago very closely, because after all, that's where our life starts and that's where our life stops.
Supreme Court of Medicine.
I love that. We'll be right back with Simon Says.
Yeah.
Enoch did describe Mulago Hospital just a few moments ago that is the Supreme Court of Medicine. Am I right?
Yes.
Well, the Supreme Court of Medicine, or should I say the Temple of Healing, is going through a tremendous facelift. There will be a number of inconveniences that may be caused to many of us who will go there to seek their services. But like they always say, if you must have an omelette, you must break a few eggs. Certain good will have to come out of some bad and inconveniencing situations at the moment, but certainly that is all done for the good of nation and people. In 24 months, we'll have a decongested Mulago Hospital, a super specialized Mulago Hospital, and one that has a healing environment, which were described as the fact that you can walk into Mulago and have your kidney transplanted, you can have your lungs removed and washed, your eyeballs removed and washed, if I'm not adding superlatives to his narration, but certainly it will be Mulago that is a far cry from what it is today. A Mulago that is supposed to nip in the bud medical tourism that has bedeviled this country tremendously, leading to the loss of so much in taxpayers' money, sending our dignitaries abroad to get simple treatment for as simple malaise or even very complicated malaise. Some, of course, have not lived long enough to tell their story and experiences of their being outside there. This is a project that, if for nothing else, we need to support. But also knowing what the Ugandan society is and our psyche when it comes to such huge projects, this is a project that we all must take very keen interest in and look at it very closely so that we can hold those that are working on it to full account, to ensure that the money goes to where the mouth is, to ensure that we get value for money, and to ensure that we have a Mulago hospital that many of us will be happy to fall sick in and recover from. And if indeed God wishes, one where you will at least pass on to the next world in dignity and be received by your kith and kin for burial in proper shape. Have a wonderful morning. It's a fresh start to a new week. Of course, one which calls on all of us to be productive as it possibly can get. And I implore all of us to be as productive as we possibly can, of course, evoking the divine intervention that we also badly need. Good morning.
And Brian Molondo.
The lock and key with the 24-hour security surveillance. The story of what happens inside has only been partially told. For the very first time, we take you inside Luzira prison. With our cameras rolling from the compound to the wards. This is the story inside Luzira prison.
can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am MUI?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascistic code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah, a musical venture that is entertaining.
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.
Educative.
It is not about just standing on stage.
Informative.
Jazz is a type of music from the African American background.
And inspiring.
I have the goal of breaking it down.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV. Thanks for the support. Log in. Ndiwa nole ronzi kukakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what I'm saying. It's login.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
On the last episode, brought to you by
Orange is the #1 internet provider, giving you the fastest internet speeds everywhere.
Deception.
Hey. You're going to call him.
Make sure you throw out that woman arrest. You throw her out of that house.
I need to tell Chris the truth. Olimularu.
You bad. Just push yourself. I'm your wife. Can you listen to me?
I saw Chris with the doctor this morning.
He left it at the restaurant today.
Chris, are you serious?
This family has made me reach my breaking point.
I hate you, Chris.
I've got eyes and ears everywhere. I broke this deal, okay? And whatever way it goes, I must have my share. The police was coming for both of you. Come.
Where is my wife?
Deception.
Orange is the #1 internet provider. You can have the best internet experience in Uganda. Simply dial *133# to buy an internet bundle. Today changes with Orange.
At NTV with Simon Ate, Mabel Kebiruji, and Brian.
Thank you for joining us this Monday, the 6th day of October. On to some of your comments on our Facebook page. We have Iga Simon saying, beware, the Marburg virus kills faster than HIV. And regarding the big story, Doris says, mindset change is key. We were hosting the PR of Mulago Hospital, Enoch Kusasida. She says, mindset change is key. Renovating the hospital and having modern technology without the corresponding behavioral change required of medical personnel is disturbing. And without required medical workers will be an excuse for infutility. And then Martin says, Mulago is the biggest referral hospital in Africa. Keeping it clean and organized is of great help. We now cross over to Brian for today's Everyday Life.
Well, thank you so much, Mabel. It's 14 after 8. This morning on Everyday Life, most of our young people waste a lot of time investing in criticizing the government for their joblessness and their lack of, well, employability, like we say every day on this show. A young lady who is beautiful, an actress and a model, used that opportunity. And this morning, she is referred to as the African icon who conquered the Australian fashion world. Susan Mutesi is here with me on Everyday Life, looking at opportunities our young people can use and probably will be an inspiration to you this morning. Coming up on Everyday Life. Well, Susan Mutesi, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
You look more beautiful in person.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm flattered.
Morning.
Morning.
How's Australia?
Actually, we're going into summer, so I'm excited.
Yeah, they say when you're usually tired of bad weather, you guys come to Uganda.
Huh? Not even. We have good weather. Like, it's not like snowy or anything like that, so it's good weather.
All right. Would I be right to say that you are Australian now?
Yes.
So you are, okay, you have
the Australian
dual
passport.
citizenship.
Yes.
You have to pay visa to enter Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us. Your story is amazing.
Thank you.
Tell us how it all started.
So much. I was like, I hate working for other people.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm gonna leave this and I'm gonna pursue myself. So the money I saved up in working in banks and anything, I strived, endeavored, started designing my own things, sewing, working late nights, going from one store to the other, got rejected so many times. And then one day, an opportunity came my way. It was a fashion charity event a friend of mine was doing, and different PR agents in Australia, like these are major PR agents, showed up, and they were amazed at the artwork, at the uniqueness, and they hadn't seen anything unique. It was African, it was unique, it was beautiful, and they're like, and then everything just took off from there, to be honest.
And then from then
I started featuring in magazines. I'm talking about OK magazines, Vogue magazines.
Wow.
I started dressing up people on X Factor, the show X Factor, judges on X Factor, The Voice. I'm a regular client of them.
You know, like. Wow, that's beautiful. That's
and really dressing up beauty pageants, so Miss World Australia, any beauty pageants, Miss Fiji, girls just call me up and, oh, Susan, please dress me up on this. Susan, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, working so hard, and it's because I've loved what I like. If you have a passion for something, go for it. Like, I don't think anything should hold you back. If you think you can do it, even if I started off with banana fibers and little dolls and with a needle and thread, and now I'm doing really big couture gowns that I've designed, dresses on arias in Australia. So I think anyone can do it.
I've always wanted to ask this question to many fashion designers. How do you make sure that you do not duplicate your work? Because, you know, you have so much work going on. And for every event, for every person you design, it has something, it has to be new and fresh.
Yes.
And you know, for us, I just look at this and say, I remember that last year's awards or miss this. We always have those facts right.
Yes.
And so you're always thinking, how do I create that? For you, how does it work?
I design according to my clients, I have to say, depending on my client. And she could be curvaceous and beautiful, and she could be skinny and model-like, and it depends on who I'm working with. It could be the same dress, but it's how I'll style you. And it's how I can change it, and it would look different on everyone, and that person will look beautiful. So I don't just make a dress and give it to you and you dress up and you look nice, but I take you on a journey. So I'll make a dress for you, I'll style you, I'll make sure everything looks perfect. So everywhere you go, everyone will be talking about you. So
let me just break down Susan's CV. It's really rich. Most of the titles she has. She's an African-Australian actress. She's a model. She's also called as the African fashion icon that conquered Australian fashion. She has won an award as the African Fashion Designer of the year 2012 after being rejected so many times.
Hello.
Then boom, you get this award. How did that feel?
Oh, you don't understand. I was like, okay, haters. But one thing about me, I don't move by what people say. Like, the more I have haters, the better for me. I know I'm doing something right.
Right.
The more negativity I get, I know I'm doing something right. Like, I remember there's a time a stylist called me for a show. He was quite a big stylist. He loved my work, but then he put me down. He's like, no, Susan, we can't do this. And I'm like, you know what, that's fine. After that, a French magazine calls me up, puts my dress on the cover. And I'm like, that's okay. Lose, win more.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like, for me, like, I can get rejected today, but another door open up. Like, that doesn't put me down. It makes me stronger, makes me work harder, makes me want to strive for bigger goals, bigger things. Yeah.
Where do you have the disconnect? Because most girls will see, you know, I have interviewed lots of girls, even for my own company, and, you know, you tell them, something is missing. Maybe go think about it and come back, and then they totally lose it and stop. And for you, that seemed to be your drive to get more stuff. You know,
I have a goal.
How can you help girls like that, or young people like that, to use this as an opportunity to spur on?
Yeah.
Not just sit back.
No, definitely. I think you need to first believe in yourself. It starts with you. So no one can tell you, oh, you can design or you can be a TV host. It has to be within you. Like, I'm pretty sure with you it comes naturally, right? Like, because it's within you, like, you have it. And you have to have that self-drive. You don't need someone to wake you up in the morning and tell you you're doing this. You have to get up in the morning and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to do today, and no one can change my mind. So even if you go to a client or you go for a job and they tell you, oh, no, you're not good enough, I'm going to ask myself, why aren't I good enough? What can I change?
Yes.
That tomorrow I'll go back and convince that guy to put me on his show or to get me into something. So I will not stop. Like, that's one thing about me. I'm a go-getter. If I say I'm going to get something, guarantee I'll get it.
Right.
Like, I just have that self-confidence and that self-drive and that self-understanding of myself. Like, I just want to achieve things, and I believe anyone can do it.
Right.
Like, it doesn't take much. It's just you having that confidence, and self-pity doesn't help. Feeling sorry for yourself doesn't help. You have to have the motivation, you have to have the drive, you have to believe anything. You could sell pancakes and become a wholesaler for pancakes for sure.
Yeah, we have a famous guy here called Macarena.
Really?
Yeah, he has like
Macarena.
the best hots. Yeah, like, and he plays the song, and I think he now has about five cars. I think 5 cars.
From pancakes.
Different
there you
stations.
Go.
So yeah.
You see, then that's what I call drive and passion, and you have to have that. Like, it doesn't matter what you're selling, muwogo, whatever you're doing, you can do it. And people need to stop feeling sorry for themselves. It's not about working in the office that you're going to make a career. No, it could be anything. You could be selling, I don't know, plantains in the village, and you're wholesaling to all these hotels. You can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you transport this culture, the Ugandan culture you have, in Australia?
Well,
because most people, when they get there, you're rocking the fashion world. What? Uganda, please. I'm Australian.
Like I said, when I want something, I will get what I want. I have drive. So if I want Australians to understand where I'm coming from, they will understand. What I usually do, I meddle the the African Ugandan culture with my designs, and I meddle them together. So I'm using modern technology to sew my clothes, and at the same time I'm going to use Ugandan fabrics. And at the awards, actually I won an award 2000 this year with Kansime and Kenzo, the same night. I won an award as African Icon for 2014 again, which is good. But on that day, I designed a cloth, one of the dresses that I was wearing. I was wearing a dress, but it had Chikoyi in it, the print. So I made a different fabrics from Uganda, or techniques or inspirations, whatever I get, and then made all that in my designs. And that's how I let those two communicate together so they can understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Susan, pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure.
But before we even wrap this up, tell us about some of the famous people you've worked for. And many people are asking, if she does Miss World, who else has she done?
Oh, I've worked with Tammy Suki. She's on The Young and Restless. She's a Hollywood actress. I've worked with Hugh Jackman on a movie called Wolverine.
Are you joking?
Yes. And he is
I
fine.
love him.
And he is handsome. Yes.
Yeah,
and he's very kind.
Talk about that offset. How do you work with handsome clients? Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, will.i.am. I've worked with Nicole Kidman. I've worked with Ramsey. I've worked with Vivica Fox. I've worked with Diana Roviz. I've worked with Gazelle. I've worked with the Dear Bell. I've worked with, I can't even.
Okay, enough the name dropping. Well, I've just sat down with Susan Mutesi. I'm also name dropping. You can go to her website, susanmutesi.com.
That's correct.
All right. Get more details.
That's correct.
Find your work?
And I also want to let people know that I have a charity organization called the Heart of Gold Africa.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and what happens is I connect it with my fashion. So every dress I make, I donate 10% to that organization. I want to build schools in the rural areas of Uganda, different villages. Doesn't matter where it is. I want to help educate. I want to give young kids what I was given, and give them a chance. So it's like a chance, giving them the opportunity to be able to achieve something. So you can actually check out the Heart of Gold Africa on www.heartofgoldafrica.org.au.
Right.
Yes.
Are you on Twitter? Are you
yes.
Facebook? Yeah.
Susan Mutesi on Twitter. My website, susanmutesi.com. Facebook. Just look up Google Susan Mutesi.
I'm sure there are so many Susan Mutesi, but look for the one who is Australian. That's right.
But she's African. She's Ugandan.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure. Had fun.
Yeah, we pray that your work will even, transcend where it is.
Oh, thank you.
You can go to our Facebook page and, of course, Twitter. I'll put up more details. Follow me at MB Goldu. We'll continue this conversation. At Susan Mutesi is her handle. And let's try and make opportunities this morning count as we start the week. Coming up, a sports segment with Isma. What happened to Arsenal? While the team was losing, the manager decided to take it out on Jose Mourinho. We'll be talking sport when we return. Stay with us.
More Ntv and Molondo.
aka Mr. Showbiz.
Hey, Davis, and when I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing on the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no fear fly.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally.
XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby. Put UG on the map. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Hey.
Tadi Muganda yagala munne kututumuka abanyankole mweyagalidde mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafunamu bibanja mu Uganda
I'm that dude, so they come and love it.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right.
We could do this all night.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
It's my time! I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV. Thanks for the support. Log in. Ndiwa no le ronzi ze kukakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what I'm saying. It's log in.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
That child you say you're carrying, is it Alcino's or Roberto's? What? Benny ran away from the police?
Salary jobs didn't work and you decided to be a street vendor. Without a license, you know it's illegal.
I can't believe this. He's so selfish. What a bastard.
She's carrying his child.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
5 on to 9 a.m. this morning. We're very happy to have Mabel back on the segment.
I am very happy to be back too.
Yeah.
Really happy.
So do you have any questions for me?
Good morning, Mabel.
Good morning, Isma.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, good. You're looking good. They have to be extremely diplomatic.
Yeah.
This is national TV.
You have to say some politically correct statements.
Politically correct, I've got to say.
No, ask away.
Yeah, so you guys had to go and watch a match before, you know.
Oh, yeah, he had asked me out on a date.
Uganda.
Yeah.
And unluckily, the next game happens during the day. I wouldn't take you out on the day during the day because the last one was at night. It started at 7 p.m. That's the only time you're guaranteed a date with me. That's the only other time. And I couldn't find you during the Zone 5 basketball tournament just not too long ago.
Yes.
Ended last Sunday. You weren't in town, so
how do you know?
You missed a bit of that, but that would have been very interesting. You should have seen what the song Mulirwana can do. Every time it was bellowing out of the speakers, and everyone wanted to sing Lwalero and powered Uganda. I thought 10 extra points just because of one song in each of those games, as both Ugandan teams qualified for the Afro-Basket and All-Africa games. So probably there's something I should find and take you out, but must be a night sport. Probably Game 7 in December of the National Basketball League between, should be City Oil and someone. In a Game 7.
How does it feel to be married? Well, you've been married for 3 weeks.
3 weeks and 1 day.
I'm sure Mr. Meleza does not know it's 1 day, but we're all
it is 3 weeks and 1 day.
1 day.
It's interesting. It's different. We are adjusting to one another, to living together and all that. But it's good. It's good. I pray Isma follows suit. Obviously, you rub each other the wrong way. It's strange, you know. Obviously, when you live with someone, the ball game. It's a different ball game.
You said so much sense until you said, "I wish Isma." We should get to this.
Well, let's get to the part where you speak sense.
Exactly.
Let's start with Rally. Sebuguzi didn't have to win.
Yeah.
But he took the crown.
Yeah.
Right. But him coming second, is that a fitting conclusion to everything?
I think at the end of the day, National Rally Championship is about how many points you can accumulate throughout the year. And Sebuguzi need to accumulate 91 points from 2 events, the one in Luwera and the one that is to come later next month, that is in Mbale. He eventually finished behind the crew of Omar Mayanja and Leon Senyange for second place. He drives with Cedric Buzabo. And eventually that was enough for him to move to 441 points, especially knowing that the guy who was chasing him is normally known as Wilbert Pole Pole. You can barely find his name even in rally circles. Wilbert Pole Pole, like he's known, was disqualified for having his navigator not wear a helmet because FME are being very strict on safety. And at some point, the navigator was seen by fellow crew members who even had evidence that he had taken off his helmet while in the car, and that isn't allowed. He was disqualified immediately in the 4th section. That meant that he even made the task easier for Sebuguzi. So even if he finished second, enough to win a third national rally title, and I've got to say, must be a very satisfying finish for him. Sebuguzi, I've watched him over the years, the 2 national titles won before, and then this one. I think is one of those drivers who has given as much as they have for motorsport. And now, if you look at the Daily Monitor back page, they talk about how he could probably move into that bracket of drivers who have won 4 national titles. Sam Sali did it, and then Charlie Lubega in the early 2000s. So Sebuguzi is now on the brink of probably matching that history of 4 national titles, and thereafter he could probably go for 5th. But I've got to say that this got to be a fitting conclusion for him. Hopefully, he goes to Mbale and wraps his entire champion with Upload by winning in the last event in Mbale.
Right.
Well, moving on to golf, Uganda finished 7th in the Africa's President Cup. Was that impressive?
Far from impressive, I've got to say, and I thought they left themselves with too much work to do right from day one, and while you're away, I'll keep saying that. While you're away, we are with Bran, and after day one, they had only finished 5th, Adolf Muhumuza, Philip Kasozi, Willie Chitata. I thought after that, they never stood a chance of finishing the top places in the championship there in Zambia. And thereafter, I think it's been about making up the margins, and eventually, they finished 50 strokes behind the winners, that is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe put on 889 gross over the 4 days, and Uganda could only manage 933, and that was far off the pace for them. So very disappointing finish in the end. To eventually finish 6th, and actually there were only 8 teams, and Uganda to put it into context, was second last, just ahead of Nigeria. So at some point you beat the Ogas and you're covered. But if you look at the margins between them and Zimbabwe, Zambia, Kenya, I think they are quite obscene for Chetata and company. There's a lot of work for them to do if they're going to get back and compete at this level.
Right. On to basketball, a winner at the buzzer for KIU.
Yeah.
But a very easy stroll for City Oil as expected,
yeah.
you know. But which of the two triumphs the other?
I've got to say that for everything we could say about City Oil, that victory against Power yesterday was quite something. 73-66. They were barely challenged by Power. And Power is supposed to be one of the teams that will challenge them in the playoffs. Probably they'll be a much better team in the playoffs when the playoffs come later this year. But that result by KIU over Ndeje, 69-67. One with the last throw of the dice for KIU. Eventually, a game which they had been trailing by as many as 10-15 points for large portions of the game, and thereafter they go and win it right at the buzzer. You could almost feel the ecstasy of what KIU Titans felt on the day. And those are the kind of results they've had a few of these throughout the season, KIU, but they haven't put together a run of results that would make you feel like these are competitors for the championship. So probably this is one of those that will make them know how to win in the moments when they are not playing well or when they are coming back from behind. That's the kind of result that I think KIU should have taken. That's the takeout, I think, for me for KIU from this one. But that's quite a result. 69-67 over Ndeje.
That was a close call.
Very close call. Close shave. And actually, going into the final 24 seconds, KIU were down by 5. They shot a 3 to make it to tie it at 67 up, and then went and won it right at the buzzer. Brilliant game.
Brilliant.
Well, moving on to the Uganda Premier League, Simbwa got the start he wanted, really, at SC Villa. Can he build on that?
I've got to say that when he came into the job last week, and I was probably anti-sacking Stephen Bogere because of the manner he was treated by the S Villa hierarchy. The reasons that were given about him being taken for a course to South Africa, a coaching course that he only got to learn about from a Daily Monitor reporter. When Andrew Mwangusha did call him and tell him, "You're going for a course," he said, "Sure, I don't know about that." And I thought the manner in which Stephen Bogele left the job was, for me, a bit bizarre. But thereafter, when you take the job and you Sam Simbwa, every manager, every player in the world needs a good start. And he eventually got that. 1-0 against URA, one of the contenders you've got to say, beating URA. Stephen
Very strong side.
Very strong side. Stephen Beng with the free kick. And actually, Simbwa had said just before the game that needs about 2 or 3 weeks to get in sync with his team. He needs to know his players. And also, too, he thought his players, having watched them play against URA, they lack a bit of fitness. And thereafter, probably, when he gets them to the level he wants them to play, and he has a bit of time because the league will break off very soon for the national team engagement, that's Uganda against Togo, and thereafter probably he'll get his team together and start playing well. But I think Simbwa, Villa are top, they have 9 points, they've won 3 of the opening 4 fixtures. It's, I think, ecstasy for Villa. They haven't been in a situation where they've been title contenders for the past 8 or so years. Now they're in a situation where they must be believing they're title contenders. So it's about Simbwa to convert this kind of promise into genuine belief that they could win the first league title in 10 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hope that they will get it. As a supporter of Villa, with the triple, work, Mobiru Mukasa Magumba, and when they used to telecast Sekafa on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Some of it on under very poor floodlights at Nachivogo.
But
I remember being there for one, and I always imagine, are these players actually seeing what they are doing? Yeah, because I was in high school.
But some of us had black and white TVs, so everything was fine.
Yeah.
Everything.
We already supported the team in white or the one in black?
Yes, so it was okay. Well, the typhoon subsided and a Hamilton win at Suzuka.
Yeah.
But the news is probably not on Hamilton winning.
It's not at all. And not because he's not leading now by 10 points in the championship, because that was quite a victory for him. He's in that kind of zone. He's now won 3 in a row. But I think there are 2 stories that trumped the entire weekend besides Hamilton, who beat Nico Rosberg. The first one is a French driver who is in hospital. He's 25, Jules Bianchi. Drives from Mauritius. Probably many people had never heard of his name until he got this accident, because most people follow the teams that right at the front, Red Bull, McLaren, Williams, and Mercedes and Ferrari. So it's not a name that many people will be used to. But Bianchi was involved in a nasty, nasty accident. And every prayer out for him, for every sportsman, because he's fighting for his life in hospital now. Suffered a head injury. At the time, the rally was I thought, Personally, I thought should have been called off. And when I was seeing television images, I thought should have been called off. And actually, Felipe Massa says he repeatedly told the stewards and his technical crew from Williams that we can't see the track. And actually, the rally had to be stopped on 3 occasions. Started behind a safety car. There was persistent rain in Japan. Even if there was no typhoon, there was persistent rain. And eventually, after Adrian Sutil's car had to be towed off, now Bianchi comes and rams into the car that is towing Sutil's car, and that was quite nasty. He suffered a head injury. He's fighting for his life in hospital. Extremely unfortunate incident there. That even at the crowning ceremony, there was little to celebrate for Rosberg, for Hamilton. They're all just saying, I hope Bianchi is okay. Okay, as we know now, he's not okay, but we hope he'll be okay. But then the second story, I think, came on Friday before even they went to Suzuka to race. That was about Sebastian Vettel, the 4-time world champion. Is moving from Red Bull to Ferrari. I can't wait to see him in red. Every driver in Formula 1 lives for that one moment when they are handed the Formula 1 contract at Ferrari. Vettel has it, which also means that Fernando Alonso will probably be joining McLaren, a team he raced for with Hamilton a few years ago. And that could probably be a turnaround for McLaren because they're getting a new engine manufacturer in Honda. So you hope that will be a turnaround. But I think every event, whether Hamilton won, whether Vettel got whatever he did in terms of the contract at Ferrari, my thoughts with Bianchi. I think you don't want to see this kind of thing in sport. Though I always warn people that the first thing you can talk about motorsport is that among the rules you're reminded, motorsport is dangerous. It's number 2 among the rules for the sport.
Yeah, I was listening to a commentary about a guy who used to play Formula 1, and they were asking to race, asking him about the rivalry between Nico and Hamilton. And he was saying maybe it's more pronounced in the press than it is
in the actual.
Yeah, but anyway, let's talk about the Premier League now. My husband is a Man U supporter. So yesterday he comes home and tells me it's bad news for you. So I was like, hey, Man U won. And I was like, imagine. Clearly he knows where my loyalty is. But Falcao finally doing something for my...
His first goal. I was actually listening to you. Yeah, you it smells like Falcao! Falcao! Like some of those Argentinian commentators. Goal! Goal!
Yeah, I thought it's been coming. It's been long coming for Falcao, and eventually got his goal. He's been a contributor besides not scoring ever since he signed for United on loan from Monaco. And he's been a contributor in terms of assists. He's been running the channels, putting pressure on the defense without getting the goal, but eventually did. A scuffed effort, you've got to say, after Angel Di Maria's shot was deemed to be going wide and eventually diverted into the right direction for Manchester United to beat Everton by 2-1. But even if Falcao won then the game, I've got to say that it was for me David De Gea. That was as good a goalkeeping performance as United has ever produced or De Gea has ever produced. Because late in the game, he had to make about 3 saves in a space of 8 minutes just to get United those 3 points. And it's a United side that had not won 2 games in a row this season. Now they have. They've actually won 3 in total for the entire season, but they are not won back-to-back games until yesterday. And you could say Falcao got the win after Di Maria's opener, but eventually, David De Gea for me. Brilliant performance.
Now, Arsenal and Chelsea. I don't know if can we play this on right now?
Super slow-mo.
Our producer, play this fight between
Mourinho
what
and
was
Wenger.
that about? Is Wenger very offended? Okay, they called him an expert at failure.
I think for me, first of all, there was no contest on the pitch. So we needed something to remember about this game.
No, but that came early in the first half.
Exactly, because there was no contest on the pitch. There was never going to be a contest. I didn't think Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal stood a chance.
No, but the way they played, if you were to look at the whole 90 minutes, it was just unfortunate they lost.
I think that's why.
First of all,
but lots of Arsenal fans expected to actually lose more.
How many did Chelsea have?
Over the 90 minutes,
they didn't. Okay, yeah, they used the 2 they had. One was a penalty, so they used the 1 they had.
A penalty that was awarded rightly. I want to get to the fight. The penalty was awarded rightly because Lorco Selny brought down Eden Hazard. The second goal, just Diego Costa and Fabregas. That telepathy is working. 7 assists for Fabregas, 9 goals for Diego Costa. That tells you about how good their Chelsea have been. But Arsenal had no shot on goal for 90 minutes. All the shots he had were going off target. All the cutbacks that the goalkeepers dealt with Courtois before he got out, and then Peter Cech led thereafter. But I've got to say that for me, the fight is not an incident emerging from what happened. It's not about Gary Cahill kicking Alexis Sanchez that got Arsene Wenger tipped off. I've got to say that for me, it's a series of events. It's a series of 10 years of Mourinho attacking Arsene Wenger even when they're not playing Arsenal. Remember, a specialist in failure. At some point when he had just come in, he called Arsene Wenger a voyeur.
A voyeur, yeah.
Yeah, now thereafter, I think this anger has been burning. But I've got to say, I never thought I'd ever see Arsene Wenger try to beat up a manager. Yeah, I've got to say, he's my champion for today. Because
he's always calm.
He's a gentleman. He's the guy who is so nice to everyone. He's the one who is invited to a party to celebrate Alex Ferguson's career. Mourinho said he won't go to such a party. Wenger goes. He has even all these tributes for Ferguson. No other manager does. Rodgers doesn't have any for him. And now, there he is fighting Wenger.
Well, you know what? That should send a message. Do not mess with people who are, calm. Because when they blow up, I can't wait for the day we beat Chelsea 10 goals. Wenger will be. But you see, and for me, okay, the fight made the headlines, but are we likely to see a fine? Is he going to be punished for what happened?
I think it's very likely. The disciplinary committee of the FA will, I think, charge him officially, either today or tomorrow, and thereafter he will be fined or banned from the bench. Because what he did was, for me, going a bit overboard. We could be celebrating it here because we think Arsene Wenger has not been that proactive in terms of making other teams uncomfortable against Arsenal. But to move out of his technical area and go to the Chelsea one, for me, is totally out of the picture. And we know Alan Pardew has suffered the same kind of fate before. The Newcastle manager tried to fight Arsene Wenger a few years ago. Then actually last season he fought a player, David Mile of Hull, and actually was banned for about 10 games. So Arsene Wenger for me is in big trouble after this.
Right. Let's talk about Manchester City. They managed to break Villa. What do you see happening in the next couple of games?
First of all, unfortunately for most of the teams, it's an international break that comes up. But the Man City we saw on Saturday late evening is the City that we've been missing, I think, for a long time. The one that wins games through Yaya Toure and Sergio Aguero. They took very long to break down the Villa side that I thought has played a very tough run of fixtures: Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, and now Man City over successive weekends. But eventually, as City got their goal, the first in the 82nd minute from Yaya Toure, through his left boot, and then the winner from Sergio Aguero. For me, that's the City I haven't seen. And now they are 5 points behind Chelsea at the top of the league. So a familiar look to the table for me: Chelsea, Man City.
Henderson is the pressure a little bit on Rodgers.
Yeah.
And everyone, I know many people say, oh, finally Liverpool has won something.
Yeah.
Is that where they should take the foot off the
I thought eventually Liverpool won for the first time in 4 games. I didn't think it's taken them that long to win a game, but the first victory in 4. So it's got to be very satisfying for Rodgers. But Henderson had a blinder. Set up the first goal for Adam Lallana, then got the winner. For Liverpool side that looked extremely nervous, and West Brom probably deserved to get a goal in that game. They had chances. Saido Berahino was looking lively, got behind Scato and Dejan Lovren. They had headers that went off target. So I thought over the course of the 90 minutes, probably West Brom did as good as they could have, and should, from their performance, deserve a point. But eventually, for Liverpool side that hasn't been winning, I expected them to be extremely nervous in the game, and they were exactly that. But they haven't been winning games. And I thought for me that many times when you're not winning, you actually forget about what winning takes. And now probably this was a reminder to Liverpool that games are won this way. Whether you play well or not, you've got to find it to get a result.
Right.
Let's move on to Italy for the Serie A there. Juventus and Roma. Roma, I think, lost during the week to Man City.
They drew 1-1.
They drew, okay then. But tell us about the thrilling games that they were.
Exactly. 2 red cards, 2 penalties, 3 to Juventus. I've got to say that to this moment, I'm still replaying the game in my mind, because it was everything probably the Serie A needed. Of course, now Juventus have won 22 games in a row. It's the first game, the first goals they conceded in the league, those 2 against Roma, because they are not conceded over the course of the season. That also means that Barcelona are the only team that haven't conceded a goal across the top 5 leagues in Europe. But 2 Carlos Tevez penalties, 2 red cards, and eventually the game won by a defender, Leandro Bonucci. is the one who got the winner for Juventus, quite a shot from outside the area. And I thought in that moment, if Massimiliano Allegri in the next game, Bonucci starts as a striker because he won't get another chance to score a goal that good. But for Juventus, unbeaten, winning again and again, 22 games in a row at home, it's got to be very disappointing for Roma. I thought they played quite well, and actually themselves had a penalty that Totti did score. But thereafter, I don't think they kicked on after leading by 2-1. They let Juve back into the game at 2-2, and eventually Juve sealed it with that Bonucci goal. And there goes Roma. They'll find it very hard to catch up with Juve at this point in time. They had won 5 in a row. Last season, Roma started with a 10 match winning streak. Now, they started with a 5 and they've lost. So they've lost probably 5 games earlier than they did last season, which means that Juventus, who have now won 6 in a row, will be in the driving seat for the rest of the season.
Right. Well, under 30 seconds, tell us about what happened in Spain.
First of all, there is something called Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't think his days is even a player. He's got to be a demigod of sorts. His 22nd hat-trick for Real Madrid, that's a record. 22nd hat-trick. To the extent that these days, it's not about how many goals Ronaldo has scored.
He's going to score.
We are starting to count his goals in batches, in hat-tricks. Because these days, I think it doesn't make news when Ronaldo scores one. That's why I remember last week, when we talk about him scoring against Ludo Goretz in the Champions League, it wasn't news. 22 hat-tricks in the Real Madrid just. That's a record. He tied Alfredo Di Stefano yesterday. They beat up on Bilbao by 5-0. And I've got to say, I feel always blessed watching him because he's amazing. He's amazing. But while Ronaldo is notching up records for Real Madrid, Messi is within 2 goals of the Spanish La Liga record. He scored 249. He scored one of the goals that beat up on Rayo Vallecano. Neymar got the second. And thereafter, he's on 249. And if he does score again 2 more, he'll tie the record held by Telmo Zarra. Telmo Zarra was a striker for Athletic Bilbao back in the 50s and 40s. He needs only 2 more to get to 51. And I've got to say that while you think about Messi getting the record, he's not too far away from Ronaldo in terms of hat-tricks. He has 19, Ronaldo has 22. So now the debate between Ronaldo and Messi is going to shift from how many goals, how many hours, to how many hat-tricks they score. It's amazing watching the two of them, I've got to say.
At 1:30 p.m., Isma is going to be here with the whole gang. You'll be looking at the team of the week, eh?
That will be tomorrow.
Coach of the week,
they want to
Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, for
Coach of the week. He'll be here talking more sport, and of course Dortmund certainly stinking for them, and you can catch more sport there on Omumuli. And later, 10 o'clock, Sports Bar from Club Silk. Check out your African proverb. One falsehood spoils 1,000 truths.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, as they say, you can build a reputation for so long, and then it can just be destroyed
in seconds.
Exactly. And you know, things that have truth and falsehood, they always wait for you to comment. You're the lady here. We are the ones who tell most of the lies.
First, we are built to lie.
So I always wait for people to say something about anything that has falsehood or truth. But yeah, if you build a reputation, you've got to keep it. And there's nothing probably more rewarding than honesty over time. And it's because you're honest that you've achieved whatever you have. You're less honest, but you've still achieved. So,
okay, that's your takeout today. Start practicing honesty today, because regardless of how much you lie, one day people will figure you out, and everything you've built over the years will go down, just turn into gold. So start today. All right, Facebook, Twitter, SMS platform. We're turning 80 at NTV. Be a part of the promotion that is going on at 6 p.m. Robin Kirsty will be here to give out a bike and about 7 gift hampers. The code on the top left corner of your screen is what you can SMS to quadruple 6. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.
NTV. Mabel Kebirunji.
NTV, turning on your world.
Use White Star Laundry Bar Soap with a lemon fragrance and you'll have a fresh, clean day. Be like a star. Use White Star. White Star Laundry Bar Soap. All day fresh clean.
Oyagala okumanya ebikulu mu bulamu bwo, ebintu ng'amaka, omukwano, ebyendya, eby'emirimu